Good morning, friends. Much heat and dust was generated when Article 370 was decommissioned from the Constitution of India. Let us, as students of constitutional law, confine our discussion and attention on the constitutionality of this whole exercise without going into the political ramifications of this exercise. This entire exercise was done in 3 steps. Step number 1, a presidential order, CO, that is Constitutional Order 272. Step 2, statutory resolution introduced in the Rajya Sabha, invoking the authority that flows from the effects of the presidential order, that is CO 272, which recommends that the president abrogate much of Article 370. Step number 3, reorganization of the bill that breaks up, reorganization bill that breaks up Jammu and Kashmir into 2 union territories, one Ladakh and the 2 Jammu and Kashmir. Now, friends, if we have a plain reading of Article 370, we will find that Clause 3 of Article 370 empowers the President to seize the operation of the article, but then the proviso appended to that clause clearly mentions that it can be done only on the recommendation of the Constituent Assembly. But the Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir ceased functioning in 1957. So does Article 370 becomes a permanent feature of the Constitution? On the other hand, it is included in Part 21 of the Constitution, which deals with temporary and transient provisions. Or can it be amended by the normal amending process? Now let us examine how this Constitutional Order 272 amended or partly or mostly abrogated Article 370 from the Constitution. It took an entirely different path. It used the power of the President under Article 370 Clause 1 to indirectly amend Article 370 Clause 3 via, that is through, another innocuous article of the Constitution, Article 367, which lays down guidelines for interpretation of the various words used in the Constitution. How? Let us examine. This Constitutional Order 272 added to Article 367 an additional clause which has 4 subclauses. Subclause 4 stipulates that in the proviso to Clause 3 of Article 370, instead of Constituent Assembly, one has to read Legislative Assembly. So to put it simply, power bestowed on by the Constitution, Article 371, was used by the President to make a presidential order, that is Constitutional Order CO 272, to amend Article 367, and this amended Article 367 was now used to mostly abrogate Article 370. So the natural question which comes out or which looms large in the minds of the constitutional jurists is, does it tantamount to amending Article 370 through the back door? Now, the jurists are equally divided on this issue. Some argue that it is a fraud on the Constitution and therefore it is unconstitutional because it is clearly mentioned in Article 370 that Article 1 and Article 370 itself cannot be amended by the presidential power bestowed under Article 370 Clause 1. So in this exercise, something which could not be done directly have been done indirectly, which the Supreme Court has time and again prohibited in many cases. And therefore, it is a fraud on the Constitution of India. The other arguments put forward by jurists who oppose this is that it was a flagrant violation of one of the basic features of the Constitution of India, that is federalism, because unprecedentedly a state which was under president's rule was abolished without the concurrence. Concurrence is not required under Article 3, but even without taking into account the views of the Legislative Assembly. Article 3, friends, we all know, lays down that Parliament may by law change the name of a state, alter the boundaries of a state, bifurcate a state into two states, merge two states into one state, but then for that, they have to refer the proposal to the Legislative Assembly, but then the recommendation is not mandatory. But in this case, the Assembly was not even in session, and the views of the Assembly was substituted by the views of the governor, who is an agent of the center. So, the center took its own opinion while reorganizing the Jammu and Kashmir state into a union territory. This, according to some, is unconstitutional. Apart from that, they are of the view that this exercise was done stealthily and it was a colorable exercise of power, and therefore it was unconstitutional. Now, the jurists who support this or call it constitutional, their contention is that the apex court in earlier cases have upheld this mechanism of amending Article 370 through Article 367, especially in the case when the Sixth Amendment to the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir was upheld, when the words Sadr-e Riyashat was substituted by the word governor, and which was upheld by the Supreme Court in a landmark case, which is Maqbul Damnu versus State of Jammu and Kashmir, AIR 1972, page number 963. So, since it has been upheld by the apex court, this process, this mechanism is constitutional. Apart from that, some eminent constitutional jurists also support the move or call it constitutional on some basic consideration. According to them, Article 35A and Article 370 by themselves are digression from the principles of the Indian federalism. By according special status to one state which was meant to be temporary and transient, attempting to make it permanent is itself a digression from the federal principle enshrined in the Constitution. For all these considerations, these jurists, these eminent constitutional experts, I would not like to name any of the sides, they feel that chances are that the Supreme Court will not interfere with this exercise, because the Supreme Court has been very reticent and reluctant in interfering in matters of reorganization of states unless there is a brazen unconstitutionality. Friends, we'll have to wait for the verdict of the Supreme Court. We as students of constitutional law at the most can analyze and air the views of both sides. Political ramifications of this exercise are beyond the purview of this discussion. We have confined ourselves into the domain of the constitutionality as students of constitutional law and nothing more. Thank you.